Bizperation is the podcast for leaders, dreamers, and entrepreneurs that want to work on purpose and be inspired in life and business. I'm Christy Jackson, speaker, author, and entrepreneur, and I'm passionate about helping you succeed. And if no one else has told you today, you are needed. So I'm bringing you podcast episodes with real lessons and strategy that you can use today.
So Jen, tell us a little bit about how you got into the banking industry.
So prior to working at Enterprise Bank Trust, I was over at Eden Theological Seminary, and I was responsible for their financial aid department. So I was doing scholarship financing and finding different grants that all of the students who are future pastors and ministers at Eden to help finance their education without having to take out student loans. So that's what I was doing. So these grants are very familiar, and I wish it was clear, because even when I was at Eden and I was helping these students with these scholarships, I would put together a personalized list for each pastor, and I'd have 12 to 15 different scholarships that they'd be eligible for, and I would help them through those scholarships, and some people would get them and some people would not. But it came down to who was providing those scholarships. So if we could find a really big entity we knew had lots of funds, that would be the first scholarship to apply for. So that's something that I'm trying to help my clients keep in mind. Yeah. So while working at Eden, I was, funded by the Lilly Grant, which was a financial organization to help reduce the financial burden that pastors and ministers would be forced to take on while completing their degree. Mm-hmm. And I saw a trend, and it was women weren't comfortable talking about finances. And that's when I really wanted to go into banking and really focus all of my skills as far as counseling and finance and all that to really help small businesses and see them thrive, and having a partner that was going to help them through that process. So that's kind of my background.
Yeah. And what I love about that is that, you are not, tucked away, well, I could say in your home office these days, just processing paperwork and looking for numbers. You really are walking and connecting with, individuals, entrepreneurs, those that are trying to navigate this. So can you share, just a story about, maybe one of your clients that has been successful that you've helped through this COVID-19 crisis?
So obviously I shared the one that was really a success story, but actually it's been more new clients that I've helped more than anything, because they weren't getting the guidance from their current bank. So I was able to help them with, hey Dylan, you gotta go. Sorry, talking about working at home. There's
That's okay. That's real, isn't it?
It is real. So anyway, but it's been more new clients that I've really been able to help guide and provide that support. And to be honest, I don't just help my clients. There's people that I know in the community that I've met, and they're with a great bank, but they don't really have that need of going. But I share the resources that I know of with them, because I want to make sure that they know what's going on. So just here recently, that's really been my whole pull, is trying to find different ways to add value. So.
Yeah. And how critical that is, because again, there are so many options that are available with the different, loan and grant options. So what are some of the misconceptions that you've experienced or observed with those that are, coming to you for advice?
Well, a lot of our small businesses didn't have their operating agreement prepared, so they didn't realize that was something that they would need. Or another lady that I'm helping, she's a fellow counselor as well. They wanted her 2019 tax records, but yet her company didn't start until 2020 January. So it's been difficult to try to navigate those ropes, because nothing's really been too clear. And I feel like you kind of just learn as you go. And now that I know that information, I can share that with more people. So, but I did just think of a really cool story. And this isn't a client. I just saw a post on LinkedIn that they needed help with translating some of the documents for the SBA program. And I knew a person that owns a translating company, and she donated her time, because I connected the two of them to help applicants with that translating piece for the SBA, which is another problem. And I feel like because the government released those documents so quickly, they didn't have it in place. So we found different ways to overcome those objections. So
yeah, and that's great, because a lot of and we're all in this together, literally. But, a lot of these entities are building it as, it's the resources are becoming available. So there are going to be gaps in some of the service offerings. So that was really cool that, your company, that company was able to, be responsive to that. So how is Enterprise Bank being intentional about sharing those resources? Is there, a particular website or, a list of sources that they can go to?
So they've been doing a lot of different things. So for our clients, they've had internal meetings to help educate them with the PPP program before the program even launched. So you could have your application prepared. So that was kind of the benefit of people who already were enterprise clients. But as you know, with our Enterprise University, we also have converted that to being virtual learning. So anybody in the community can access that. And then if you go onto our enterprise website and you just say Enterprise Bank and Trust COVID-19, we have an entirely designated website just for COVID-19 with real time talking about different updates within the government and the community. And you can go to the resource tab, and that's kind of where I was talking about all those different resources based on the area that you live in, based on all of our locations that we've found in the communities. So
that's very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So what are some of the advantages to actually having a relationship with a banker, right? It's not just about approving loans, but what are some benefits of having a relationship with you as a banker?
Well, I think you have someone that's going to push your application and make sure it's getting processed, to make sure that, let's say you didn't fill out something on the form correctly. I'm making sure it's getting processed by our compliance department and they're pushing it back to me. So then I'm getting in touch with you, telling you and informing you of what you need to correct on your application. What I've actually heard with a lot of other banks is happening is there isn't any communication because they don't have that personal banker to kind of guide them through that process. So if you submitted it the first time and it wasn't correct, you're not going to get informed. You're just going to get bypassed. So I feel like that's the big differentiator as far as how we've really been able to add value to our clients, because we're checking in on the process. We're seeing where you're at in the funnel and what we need to inform you or collect from you to make sure that you're getting approved. So, and I'm not a lender at all. So this has been a huge learning curve for me. So yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm glad that you said that, because that's a common, thought that, oh, if you're a banker, then you can approve my loan, right?
Right.
There are different stages to this, and there are different, everyone plays a different role in that process. So that's good to clarify. You're kind of introducing us to that process, right?
Right. I would say right now I'm more of the secretary. I'm gathering up the information. I'm making sure your account's open and we've got that 4-digit code to then push you along the process and make sure that they're, fine tooth comb, making sure everything's correct. And then I'm collecting that data to push it to get approved. So,
yeah. So moving forward, how can we better prepare financially? What are just some basic things that we should be thinking about? Whether, however long COVID-19 happens, what are some basic practices that, we should just have in place to be healthy financially?
I think you need to look at each day. And there's this book, it's called Atomic Revenue, and it talks about just little steps that you can take action over. If it's eliminating a coffee, to put that $4 into a savings account, or looking into a line of credit just for down the road. You might not need it in this moment, but at least have it in place so you can defer onto that rather than, being anxiety filled and not knowing how to make your next step. And then if it's not a line of credit, maybe it's a credit card that you just kind of sit there for worst case scenarios. So I feel like it's really good. The Japanese are great at this, is they look long term and they're very strategic about every step that they take. So I feel like if you kind of planned your next year, 6 months, then in 2 years to 5 years of what you want to achieve, and then every day you take action and make sure that you're following that step, then there's your destiny. So just taking action, following through, and committing each day with those tiny actions, whatever that is for you. So, but those are some things that I feel like small businesses, I like to advocate for them to take out line of credits or credit cards, but a lot of people are hesitant and they don't see the need until it's too late. So just always planning for worst case scenario, I think, is the best case for business owners.
Yeah. And I like what you're saying. Just take those little actionable steps each day. It
Right.
can really
Yes.
contribute and build that discipline. So
Yes.
those are simple things that we can do.
Right. And it's tangible. It's something that you're achieving every day. So it's a victory. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. We'll take those small victories however they come.
Exactly. Yeah.
So Jim, what's next for you?
I don't know. Well, now that I've had to become a lender, I'm sitting here thinking, well, maybe that's my next move. Maybe I need to really look into learning more about how to secure funds and how to really help people. So
Yeah.
not really sure.
Yeah. And you know what? That's a great answer because you're not by yourself. I know that you're
Right.
working on some things you've talked about, like podcasts and,
Yeah.
providing some community resources
Yes.
through the web, for individuals. You want
Mhm.
to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So my next big motion is I really want to help my clients. I want to help showcase them. I want to give them exposure. So I thought about I'm actually in the process of launching a podcast with two of my other friends. One is a therapist, and she focuses on mindfulness therapy, which is all self-control. And then the other one is an attorney, but she focuses specifically with women. And I focus on women-owned businesses. So we're kind of collaborate and then interview my clients and help showcase them in the community. So I feel like that's a great opportunity for them to get a free advertisement to hear more about their business, how they're serving the community. And then I'm doing my part too, because I can add value in a different way outside of banking. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So to our listeners, if you say that, you don't have a trusted banker, hopefully you do if you are a business owner and you have a relationship with your bank. But if you don't, you can start with Jennifer. She can help, guide you in the direction that you might need in helping to build that better relationship. So now this comes to the fun part of our interview. I call it the Bizperation Top 5. And if you listen to us on YouTube, it's not our top 5 business strategies that we share weekly, but this is really just 5 fun questions that we're going to ask you, Jen. And you can tell us, whatever comes to mind, respond honestly and openly. No judgment here. This is fun. I like to think of it as, would you rather, have you ever, kind of, those kind of questions. So it's going to be fun. All right. First one. What is your dream destination?
Dream destination. Well, I have a lot. To be honest, I had kids fairly young and I was always focused on getting my master's. I had 2 masters by 26, so I didn't really get to do very much traveling. So I would really like to go to Italy, and I'd like to go to Scotland, and I'd like to go. There's so many different places, Bora Bora and Hawaii. So the list just goes on and on and on. And probably every day it's different. So,
yeah. Well, now's the time to get tickets to those places because you probably can get to Bora Bora for like $50. You know what I mean?
You're probably right. Yeah. So the common theme is, exotic or water. So. Yeah.
Me too. I love it. I cannot wait to see an ocean shore at some point. As soon as these gates and, barriers and flights and all that good stuff, as soon as it opens up, I cannot wait. I cannot wait. All right. Here's a fun one. Sing the lyric to your favorite song. One short lyric to your favorite song.
It's so funny you say this because I've actually been listening to it here a lot. I love the song Don't Worry, Be Happy. That's my absolute favorite song. So I've been listening to that quite a bit just to get me in the right mind space. So yeah, don't worry, be happy. Every little thing's gonna be all right.
Oh man, that needs to be on everybody's playlist right now. Does it just kind of put you in the perfect mood to just take the day as it comes, right?
Yes.
No worries.
And then Mr. Sun, Mr. Golden Sun.
Yes. I remember those songs.
Yeah, the kids' lullaby. Yeah.
Were you an educator?
I've been in education, but not an educator. I was actually more of a recruiter. So.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Very cool. All right. Would you name a food that you have never eaten or you would refuse to eat?
Probably oysters.
You know what? I have said that before until I've had them grilled with cheese and bacon in New Orleans. Ooh. And they are delicious. So that's the only way that I eat them. They have to be grilled. They have to have cheese. They have to have bacon.
Yes.
But I would have agreed with you maybe a year or two ago. Oysters would not have been for me either.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking of like the Rockefeller style where it was raw. Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Shell. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with you there. All right. So what do you think about when you are alone in your car?
Oh gosh, that doesn't happen often. I have 3 boys, so I can't even think of anything because literally the past 5 weeks there hasn't been any alone time. I don't know. That's a tough one.
Okay. Well, we can pass.
Yeah, I'm always looking at personal self-growth. Like what's something that I could do better, So it's probably like researching the next book that I need to be reading or something like that. So.
Yeah. So this is the last one. What is your favorite St. Louis attraction or restaurant?
Ooh. I love art. So I love the St. Louis Art Museum. I love Lamar Sculpture Park. I love being outdoors. So just being out in nature. And I feel like St. Louis has so many beautiful artwork. I mean, if you go to the St. Louis, on the way to the St. Louis Art Museum, if you go to the St. Louis Zoo, there's that beautiful sculpture. So made out of wrought iron. So probably the St. Louis Zoo, St. Louis Art Museum, and Lamar Sculpture Park.
Yeah. And we are so fortunate to have those spaces because, I travel to Chicago frequently. And of course, they have the most amazing museums. But I mean, the admission fees are pretty
right.
Right. And so even in other cities, other states you travel to. So we're very fortunate to, that a lot of those museums are free. Anybody can, take advantage of seeing the art that we have. And we have a lot of creative individuals too in our community that's, that's
and all the theme is they were free in all of those.
That's something
free, right?
Yeah. I know. I love it. So reputation is what people say about you when you're not in the room. So what do you want our listeners to remember after listening to this podcast today?
Well, I hope they see me as an empathetic banker. And I feel like I kind of coined that term last week after, having to give that hard news of all of these applicants that I really tried to help with this program and then let them know that, we worked really hard, but we didn't make the cut. So I hope that they see that I actually do care about them and their business and seeing them thrive. So
yeah. So we will definitely have to thank Joseph Luckett, what we call the master networker, for bringing us together. It was really, really great having this conversation with you today. And before we end our podcast, I would love for you to share, with our listeners how they can connect with you further.
Sure. So I'm on LinkedIn, or you can find me on Facebook, or you can email me at jbardot@Enterprise Bank and Trust. So I'm very responsive on LinkedIn, Facebook, or by my email. So.
All right. Thanks for chatting with me today, Jennifer.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
The Bizperation Personal Think Tank Journal is now available. Did you know that your creativity is a valuable asset based on this? How you think determines how you thrive. The Bizperation Journal exercises the key thinking skills that make goal-getters successful. Get your copy today from Amazon or receive an autographed copy from the Bizperation.com website. We know that there are lots of podcasts that you could have chosen to listen to, so thanks for choosing ours. Go ahead and subscribe now so that you don't miss any episodes.